Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Esports News. We hope you guys all enjoy. As always, all of today's stories will be timestamped down below so you can find which story you actually want to hear about. And as always, let's get into it. And of course, some pretty big news out there for CSGO. We actually have our challenger stage concluding for the major, so we now have our 8 teams joining our 8 legendary teams later this week, and that will or should start Wednesday as well for all of you guys, and your pick'ems do reset by then. So look out for your pick'ems to reset so you guys can pick your favorite teams to go through this stage, and it's been quite a surprising major so far. A lot of big upsets throughout this early matchups, and we're going to talk about a few of those right here before we get into our other news out there. The first of which I'd say the biggest surprise would have to be Team North, actually losing to Vega in a best of 3 on that last day. 2-0 sweep actually for North, who came off the most recent win of any of these teams out there. They actually won DreamHack Stockholm and beat some amazing teams. They beat Mouse Sports, they beat FaZe Clan, and in the finals they beat Astralis to actually win DreamHack Stockholm. A team going into this was likely a favorite to actually easily make it through, and then again, it was a very close matchup for some of their best of ones, but Vega Squadron really giving it to them that last day kind of looked a bit defeated. So North not going through was a huge surprise, as well as on top of that, the team who beat them, Vega Squadron, was certainly not expected. Actually going into this, they were the lowest ranked team on HLTV, not even ranked in the top 100 of all CSGO teams. So a bit of a surprise as they do sneak through. They do really show us that best of ones can favor these sneak peek teams out there, although they did go to the best of 3 and they really did prove themselves against a team like North. Also big surprises, guys, was Astralis not going 3-0. I believe almost 60% of all pick'ems out there is the estimation actually picked Astralis to go 3-0 because of course they are our #1 team. They still go through but dropped a surprising match. I think it was actually on Inferno against NIP. It goes into 4 overtimes. NIP certainly earned their 3-0 there, as well as Liquid on top of that looking very strong. Some big surprises though as well for Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro, I guess you couldn't say maybe a surprise, but unfortunately enough for them, Byali has now officially left that roster, so that roster almost seemingly in shambles. They have now lost at least 3 of their members in the past 6 months, so who knows what the future of Virtus Pro is going to be. They go 0-3. Space Soldiers as well joined them, but Space Soldiers, a team who didn't have a coach or actually played with their coach and didn't have one of their main members for the entire event, so no big surprise there. And then of course you could talk up Rogue. We actually heard major issues. Apparently the actual server that Valve did send out for this major has some issues with hearing enemy footprints or actually enemy steps, which can be a huge thing. Actually, if you look at the matches that Astralis and North played against Rogue on Inferno, there were several times they actually jump push these smokes and Rogue members would not even turn or actually hear the enemies, and it could have cost them those matches. It's actually Rogue, unfortunately enough. They start off 1-0 against Space Soldiers and they lose 2 overtime matches against 2 of our better teams here, that being North and Astralis, both on Inferno. Just a defeating, I guess you could say, a very disappointing thing by Rogue, because they did look very, very strong, and one of those teams that I would say had one of the best worst performances, if that would make sense. But again, non-major news out there, as we do actually later this week, guys, the legendary stage will begin. I'm very excited for that. But again, some other things besides Byali leaving Virtus Pro, we actually did have an announcement by Faceit. You can also now earn souvenir drops as well as Faceit points if you are going to the major. So kind of a cool thing out there, although they did actually clarify, if you guys are going to the event, your drop rates for souvenirs, if you are going to the event and actually have a ticket, will be the same drop rates as those online. So nothing too special, but now finally in some non-major closing news here, we actually have some new winners out there for the DreamHack Masters series, this time being DreamHack Austin. It actually was Taz alongside Kingwin 2-0ing Ents to take the finals. They also 2-0'd AGO, they 2-0'd Red Reserve, looking very good throughout the entire event. And why I actually say this as well is because Taz with Kingwin in the past 2 weeks, officially now, I tweeted out about this morning, guys, officially in the last 2 weeks, Kingwin has actually made more prize pool earnings than Virtus Pro in the last 5 months. So very cool to see Taz doing successful things there in the DreamHack series. If you guys watched earlier, I was actually late last month as well. They made the grand finals of the Zotac Cup, lost unfortunately to MIBR pretty badly there, but still it's great to see ex-Virtus Pro guys still succeeding, and the future of the Virtus Pro roster is definitely the biggest question for the future of CSGO right now. Losing at least half their roster, who will they pick up? The younger Polish scene, will they fill with Polish roster members, or will they go somewhere else and make an international roster? Big questions in the air for Virtus Pro, but I'm so excited, guys, as the Faceit Major does continue this Wednesday. And also, of course, I told you guys last week for Dota 2, the roster changes do actually have to be submitted. Registration is due for DPC by the 15th, so we're going to expect a lot of changes coming here, guys. Some big ones did start off. It's actually Meneski announcing their brand new roster, guys. Very cool to see. It will be Febby. Alongside them, it's going to be newbie K-Pipe rounding out that roster, along with a kind of a no-namer in the scene, JT, as well as the ex-VJJ Storm coach. That's going to be Clairvoyance joining that roster. So an interesting roster for Meneski. I think definitely one of the more interesting ones we're going to see today in today's episode, and also one of the more promising ones. one. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing. We also have PSG announcing, to no surprise, after their grand finals appearance, guys, they will not be making any roster changes, although the other team, unfortunately enough for LGD Forever Young, they might be releasing Monet. We're going to actually have more for you guys in either Wednesday or Friday's episode. A lot of translation, a lot of these posts so far regarding Monet contractually, what he had done, apparently breaking contracts and making promises he couldn't make to other teams out there. So come back Wednesday's episode, we'll talk more about Monet and where he might end up, or if he'll be held captive under contract with LGD Forever Young. It's in big question right now. We also had Burning, though, Invictus coach, maybe going to be coaching a brand new team. He did talk about this. There were several rumors about if he came back and built his own team, which is potentially going to be a tier 1 team. This one definitely looking to be very promising themselves. He would say he would not be playing, so he might be coaching. Again, no confirmed rumors right now, although the roster itself will be known as Team Aster. I cannot wait to see how these guys actually play it out. It will be Bobica and Fenrir to actually finish out that roster as well. So Burning kept up to his promise. Will he be coaching this team, though? Still a very slightly unanswered question. Hopefully going to be confirmed later this week. Now, also, we have Little, we talked about last week. If you guys did see this, it was actually last week he announced 2 of his newest members alongside himself for his new team Odium. It was actually Ghostic from Team Empire. Alongside that, General has also been added, and now they've actually finished out that roster, guys, with Slayer and V-Tune, a full Ukrainian roster. And I do have to say, of all the rosters we actually talked about today, probably the biggest question mark around these guys. I don't want to say it's a disappointing roster. I just want to say they're a big question mark, a big mystery for how these guys will do. I wish the best for them because all these guys have some great history in the scene, but how they are going to mesh together, it's going to be cool to see how they do it. Now, very lastly as well, we actually have OG No Tail actually announcing on his live stream some pretty big information, as it will be the OG roster, guys, not going to our first major event at Kuala Lumpur, and here's his reason as to why.
The reason why we're not going to the major, I said it once, but it's just burnt out, man. It's been 2018 has been a crazy year, man. It's been a really crazy year. It was really intense, and it was way too much traveling for the health, you know.
So apparently you are allowed, after you win $11+ million and you win the TI itself in such dominating fashion, I'm going to allow them this pass. It's very disappointing to see them not be there, but of course, burning out's a pretty big thing, and it could last a lot more long-term than just missing one major event. So OG will not be there, guys. No Tail's reason, of course, because the team is just burnt out of Dota, which makes a lot of sense. We're going to see if other teams follow suit. Very unlikely for this early in the season, but very cool to see a team like that. Of course, coming off a huge win, they deserve it, but it's very cool and kind of unique to see a team at such a dominant point actually take a break. So it's going to be cool to see them in the coming weeks as well after this first major does conclude, and we'll see if the OG return is actually as dominant as they were at TI. And there's not too much news out there for Fortnite competitive scene. Of course, skirmish series concluding last week, and we're still waiting to see what could be the future of the competitive scene, although rumors have actually, of course, come to fruition here, guys, and apparently it was last week. We had rumors out there about maybe Nick Merckx, of course, his transition maybe to the analyst desk and maybe actually being a part of the comeback of Friday Fortnite. No confirmations there, but it was actually Keemstar who tweeted out recently as well, and kind of course, confirming these rumors. It could be as early as this Friday that we see the return of Friday Fortnite. Who knows? Of course, Keemstar is saying he actually had some meetings there. Who knows who those meetings might be with? Would they be with Epic? Would they be with other content creators out there like a Nick Merckx to actually, of course, bring this series back? It does seem as we kind of enter this lull period of no Fortnite competitive scenes, and Epic has yet to announce what their future plans are competitively, that we could have Friday Fortnite come back. The one thing I don't want to see, though, is Friday Fortnite take off again and then have Epic announce a brand new series out there, a brand new competitive series, and have it die off once more. I think we can all agree that Friday Fortnite was very down to earth. It was very well put on, and congrats to Keemstar for the success it had until Epic kind of tore it away from him. But I'm very, very curious to see where this actually does go, as we could see Friday Fortnite come back as soon as this Friday. And also big news out there, of course, in the thumbnail, we actually had Tfue take to YouTube finally after his ban. Of course, he returned last week from his YouTube account being hacked and completely deleted. We also saw him come back from Twitch for his second ban, and this one was actually a 2-week full ban. And he actually did say he was going to explain exactly what happened, although a TLDR, if you guys did watch the video itself, he didn't necessarily explain what exactly happened. Here's what he had to say about his Twitch ban.
Dude, it has been a ride for sure. It's been an adventure. Not the best of adventures, but I mean, 14 days, you know, I got banned on Twitch for just some stupid stuff that I did that it wasn't even bad. I honestly don't even want to get into it because it's just so dumb. I'd rather just not talk about it and focus on the future, because it's over with. I'm good now, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter.
And later on in the video, he actually does confront as well the fact that most of the rumors out there did say it was his toxic chat which got him banned, which he did confront and say that was actually part of it. But he also made sure to mention there were a few things that he had done that were his own fault, and we may never know what exactly those things were. So unfortunately enough, we will never actually know the exact details of what happened. Either way, though, he is back on Twitch, he is back on YouTube, and congrats to his return just in time, hopefully for Fortnite Friday. And I guess we'll see in a couple days here if the rumors are true. And of course, in big news, we actually had NALCS and EULCS playoffs going on, the grand finals this weekend, and we have just a crazy mumble jumble of teams now, and I cannot wait for the gauntlets. If you guys did watch, the third place matchups were actually very important this week. It was TSM to kind of a surprise. It was a very close series nonetheless. They take down 100 Thieves in that third place game, and why I say big is because that actually gave Cloud9 the opportunity in the grand finals, if they won, to clinch their world spot. Unfortunately enough, for the 4th year running, guys, Cloud9 fails to do so. They actually fall short, and I mean well short of Team Liquid. Team Liquid here, not only from the team fights, but the vision control. All in all, this team has definitely come back from the mishaps about a month and a half ago. What we've seen, and despite everyone's talking about them not being prepared for Worlds, they are by far and away, in my own opinion, after this weekend, solidifying themselves as by far and away the best North American team, and definitely have Worlds potential. And again, Cloud9 had their opportunity to clinch that spot. Unfortunately enough, without doing so, they are now in the gauntlet with Clutch Gaming, Echo Fox, and TSM. Gonna be tough to see which team actually does not go through, because that does mean guaranteed either Cloud9 or TSM will fail to make Worlds for the first time in a long time. So going to be unfortunate to see one of those teams fall. Cloud9 had the opportunity. We saw GG and Sven come back in game 2, but only Jensen come back for game 3. Just a team who really could not get a solidified footing, but I still do stand by the fact that, of course, if we see them return to this gauntlet, I want to see a more solidified roster. Of course, they have that 7-man duo on that roster coming back and forth, and it's worked well for them in the past few weeks, but obviously this time around, Team Liquid having that solidified 5 definitely did them favors. So it will be, like I said before, those 4 teams in the gauntlet, and Team Liquid and 100 Thieves have solidified their spots at Worlds, and the talk does continue about 100 Thieves. Did they actually earn this spot? Because now again, there's even more doubt in our minds, because obviously one of those teams out there that many people for the past 2 splits, and if not further into last year as well, saw them as a doubtful team, an overrated team, if anything, even with all their success so far throughout the splits. And this kind of solidifies that even further, because a team like TSM can take them down. Although TSM is, historically speaking, one of the better North American teams, it never looks good for a team who is in the lower part of that gauntlet now to take down for that 3rd place match. And even though it went to game 5, I still can see this bringing a lot of doubts to people's mind about 100 Thieves and how they will do at Worlds, and I guess we'll see how exactly that comes about. But also in big news out there, we did see as well in the 3rd place match the vitality I thought I would see in the semifinals against Schalke, guys. They actually dominate Misfits 3-1 in that series, although maybe closer than the scoreboard does foretell. I wish we would have seen that vitality in the semifinals against Schalke, but Schalke is still looking like a fan favorite out there. And why I said earlier as well, these 3rd place games so important, because with that win over Misfits, it's actually vitality keeping that world clinch spot, guys, alongside Fnatic. To no surprise, Fnatic did take down Schalke here as well in a reverse sweep. They actually started the series 0-1, and it looked like Schalke definitely had a chance to surprise some people out there, but it was actually a reverse sweep. 3 straight victories with Broxa coming back for Fnatic's roster and looking amazingly well. 3 no-death games for him on Trundle and Zac, and again, Fnatic looking very dominant in those last 3 games. I cannot wait to see them at Worlds alongside Vitality, but in that gauntlet as well, we again have several teams out there: Schalke, G2, Misfits, Splice, and it's really going to be hard to name which teams can actually make it through. Of course, you saw Misfits, such a tremendous start. We had G3, a pretty consistent team, but despite those last 3 or 4 weeks itself, and now we have a team like Schalke who's really awoken themselves up in the playoffs. Between the North American gauntlet and the European gauntlet, several teams, all 4 teams I would say are definitely great teams. Maybe Clutch Gaming, a surprise team to be in there, maybe Splice, a surprise team to be in there, but still, nonetheless, guys, these gauntlets are going to be crazy for League of Legends, and I cannot wait to see which teams will actually clinch that final world spot. And also in Overwatch news out there, of course, we actually had the LA World Cup qualifier for the main stage out there. It will be to no surprise. We talked about this last episode. Team USA and Canada, definitely your favorites going into that, and they did just that. USA coming out with that 1st place grab, just over Canada very barely, and I wouldn't say it was too close despite the standings. Those 2 teams definitely favorite, and they grab 2 of those 8 spots for the main stage. Expect more qualifiers these next few weeks, guys, and I cannot wait to watch, as we do have 2 more competitive qualifiers before we actually go to the main stage. But I would say most impressively of all these performances so far was actually, like we talked about about last episode, 18-year-old Zachary, the DPS man for Team USA, not only qualified them for the main stage, but on top of that, won the Contenders Grand Finals over XL2, a clean sweep over there, a 4-0 sweep by Fusion Academy led by him. It's great to see up-and-coming talent, a guy of just 18 years old actually doing and winning two large events here in just one weekend. But on top of that, we actually have the LA Valiant. Of course, many of you guys are aware of the roster drops coming in that are going to stop in these next couple weeks as well. We should see some pickups and swaps starting by next week, and this is actually hopefully the last of these lists we've seen. I guess last week was pretty tremendous. The roster mania was underway, and LA Valiant now joined that list, guys. They dropped 4 of their members, and that will be Verbo, Numlocked, Fincy, alongside Grim, actually all released from the roster. Expect more changes next week, guys, but still some big changes hopefully coming soon as well in the form of pickups. But great things coming for Overwatch, guys, as we approach Season 2. And in Rocket League news out there, of course, we had RLCS Season 6 go underway. I'm sure many of you guys are aware if you are still watching this segment. We actually had Week 1 debut as well as the Weekend 1 come to a close here. Some great things. I wouldn't say too many surprises so far, but it's definitely tough to see where these teams are exactly at. It's hard to judge these victories so far as Cloud9 dominates Rogue. We also had G2 dominate Allegiance, but again, it's tough to tell if Rogue and Allegiance are actually solid opponents or if they're underwhelming a bit, so it's really tough to judge exactly where these guys are. But exactly for now, we have Cloud9, we have G2, we have NRG, all topping the top 3 for North America. To no real surprise so far, but unfortunate enough for teams like FlyQuest, they start out 0-2, and again, in a league like this, only a month long, only 7 best of 5s to actually prove yourself playoff eligible. It can be tough for a team like FlyQuest to come back, so a very unfortunate start for those guys over there. Best of luck for a comeback. I would say a team though like Fnatic also starting out 0-2 in the European side, to a big surprise, a team that I chose to be definitely a playoff team out there after their close qualifier for the Season 2 Universal, a team that I didn't really see show up this weekend, guys, but they do fall to 2 of the best teams out there. One being the Mouse Sports, alongside them Dignitas, and of course Dignitas going into this probably one of your favorite European teams. And Mouse Sports so far throughout RLCS, their 2-0 start looking very dominant as well with those victories over Fnatic and alongside Vitality. They start out 2-0 and round out your number 1 and number 2 seeds over there. So European side probably more surprises than the North American side so far, but some great competition, guys. I cannot wait, of course, for this upcoming weekend. And again, these teams only have 5 weeks, only 7 matches to prove themselves eligible for playoffs, and those playoffs will be played out right here in Las Vegas. So I cannot wait for the $1 million prize pool to be played out for, guys. So far, some teams looking very good, some teams looking very shaky. I cannot wait for more news, though, coming hopefully by this next upcoming weekend. I hope you guys all enjoyed, though, this episode of Esports News. If you guys did, feel free to leave a comment down below if we did miss anything, or inform us down below in the comment section. As always, my name is Jake. I will see you all back here Wednesday with another packed episode, and as always, I'll see you then.